Please proceed.
On the night of August 14, 2018, a heavily armed squad of police officers kicked in the door of Sawyer Smith's house. Sawyer, with intense emotions of fear and confusion, came to the edge of the staircase, looked down, and faced gun barrels pointed directly at him. He was so frightened, he slipped down the staircase and broke his foot. In reality, there was absolutely no illegal activity occurring. There was no reason for these police officers to be there, but they were. And the evidence will show that the defendant, Reagan Klein, had something there. In 1697, William Congreve wrote, "Heaven has no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell of fury like a best friend scorn." The evidence, the witness testimony, and the people will prove that the defendant is that best friend scorned. 2 months prior to this incident, Sawyer Smith went viral on social media. He gained over 150,000 followers and was offered a brand deal from a local company. Within another week, his follower amount doubled and his brand offers tripled. Sawyer Smith, a typical community college student, had transformed into an idolized social media influencer overnight. After his rise to fame, Mr. Smith dropped the defendant as a best friend. Sawyer Smith moved on with his life, but the defendant could not. On July 2nd, 2018, he received a message from a girl named Hayden Carlton. The evidence will prove that the defendant and fellow co-workers created a gang and created this fake account in order to trick and humiliate Sawyer. When this plan failed, things only escalated from there. Throughout this trial, you will hear testimony from Officer Lopez that he admitted to arresting Reagan Klein for admitting to sending a threatening comment. And a forensic linguist, Dr. Dakota Chung, will sit before you today and provide evidence that proves the defendant wrote the false text to him. Your Honor, at the conclusion of this trial, the people ask that you find the defendant guilty of the verdict. Thank you.
Does the defense wish to present its opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
August 14th, Reagan Klein clocked into work, prepared to do what she did best, faithfully serve the customers. She was striving for her dream by attending the University of California and working alongside companions whom she could trust. However, when she walked into the restaurant, she was fired from her job as a result of a feud between her and her longtime friend Sawyer Smith, who was seeking revenge. And today, this client finds herself in court, falsely accused of making a false report of emergency. Today, the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Reagan Klein is guilty. But Your Honor, actions speak louder than words. The actions of Reagan Klein show that she would never bring harm to anyone. The facts and evidence will demonstrate that my client has been wrongfully accused because there were others with just as much means, motive, and opportunity. Today, the court will first hear from Dr. Blake Williams, a skilled forensic linguist who will testify that due to the vocabulary choices of the text tip, the author of the tip could not have been Reagan Klein, but is instead most likely Cameron Holmes. Second, the court will hear from Marlo Patterson, Reagan's longtime co-worker. Ms. Patterson will lay out the chronology of the event that took place on the nights of August 14th, and thus provide the court with evidence as to why the text culprit is not Reagan Klein, but Cameron Holmes. Third, the court will hear from Sam Kolosian, Reagan's former manager who has known Reagan for the past 5 years. Mr. Kolosian will testify to Reagan's kind heart and how a few days before August 14th, she was disturbed by a news story that showed the consequences of swatting. Lastly, the court will hear from Reagan Klein herself. She will share about her friendship with Marlo and how Cameron was utterly jealous of his friendship. Furthermore, she will testify that on the nights of August 14th, She only ever touched Cameron's phone to quickly check the time. Today, the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Reagan Klein is guilty of making a false report of an emergency. But Your Honor, the case before us today is full of doubt. Thus, there's only one certain verdict. Reagan Klein is not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.